Good evening and welcome to the most compelling talk show on TV, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodi. Welcome to this edition. The promise is to be revealing as we look at very salient issues making the rounds. One of the talking points we will be looking at the amnesty program as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed Otuaro as the new administrator. We'll be looking at what the implication means as Nigeria struggles to ensure that the shortfall in oil production is, quelled from all angles. We'll be looking at what this new man at the helm of affairs of the program will be bringing on board to turn around the fortunes of the country. We'll also be looking at the recent fear cues that have surfaced across the country with alarming price in hike. We'll also be looking at work from home. It's been said that 92 million jobs to be done remotely by 2030. A new white paper from the World Economic Forum in partnership with digital technology consultants has made this revelation. So we'll be looking at what this means for 92 million jobs that are expected to be done entirely remotely by 2030, up from the current 73 million we have recorded during the COVID-19 pandemic, which ushered this systemic shift in the way work is done. So we'll be looking at what this means by the year 2030. That's approximately, we're in 2024, I mean 6 years from now, we're going to be hitting 90 million. We'll be looking at the consequences of this, especially when you remember the very key issue of artificial intelligence, where it's been said that robots and computers might be taking the jobs of human beings. So we'll be looking at the implication. We'll also be taking you to Kenya, where there's a disaster in Kenya, which has led to the postponement of school resumption as flood kills as more as 70 people because Kenya, the flood has caused a lot of havoc, which has killed over 70 citizens. The resumption, which was supposed to commence today in Kenya, has been delayed till May 6th. This was contained in a statement by the EGH Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education, Dr. Ezekiel Makogo, made this revelation. So we'll be looking at the implication and how Nigerians, and especially the 31 states that has been won by NIMET as regards the possibility of flash floods hitting those 31 states in Nigeria, what the lessons we should learn from Kenya. We'll be looking at that. Also, we're going to the National Assembly, where the Constitution review is a talking point today. So the National Assembly says they would be considering the role of traditional rulers. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Ben Kalu, says the traditional institution in Nigeria must be strengthened and protected from the influence of elected officials. Kalu stated this on Saturday during a visit to the palace of the Emir of Kano, Aminu Bayero. The Deputy Speaker, in a statement by his spokesperson, Levinus Anwabuogu, on Sunday said he planned to engage with traditional rulers in the ongoing constitutional amendment. So we'll be looking at what the Deputy Speaker has said and the implications. And also, some persons have said the systemic tour of the country by Benjamin Kalu seemed to suggest he's got an eye for a very big post in the country come 2027. So we'll be looking at that very interesting talking point. Also, we'll be looking at the influence of traditional rulers, the influence weighing down on us. We'll be taking you to the judiciary, where lawyers are seeking something very interesting. Lawyers and key justice sector players have advocated far-reaching reforms in an appointment of judges and administration of courts across the country. If implemented, the recommendations will substantially whittle down the enormous powers of the Office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. It will also reduce the overbearing influence of the CJN and other heads of court in the administration of the judicial institution. So we'll be looking at the implication of that very talking point. These and other issues is what we'll be looking at in today's edition of the program, The Desk. We'll go for a very quick break. When we return from the break, hopefully my guest will be joining us in the studio to look at the issue, these and other issues up for discourse. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the most compelling talk show on TV, the Dex on Global Television. Now time for us to hit into the discourse. My guest on today's edition is not a person, but the National President of the Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, in the person of Adams Ogomogu Mabo, who is joining us live in the studio. Adams, nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, we'll be looking at the issue concerning the amnesty program. We're looking specifically at the shortfall of oil production suffered by Nigeria and the implications of all that factors that have led to this issue. And so recently, that's on Thursday specifically, we had the appointment of Dr. Dennis Burutu Otuaro as the new administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program. Otuaro will be replacing Major General Barry Ndiomu, retired, who had served as interim administrator of the program since September 2022. Dr. Tuaro, who described himself as a political communicator with extensive history of collaborating with a wide array of stakeholder groups in substantial public issues, including negotiations with parties hostile to issues, as well as peace building in the Niger Delta region, is currently the principal consultant and chief executive officer of the Owele Global Resources and other firms. All right, so he's taking the charge. Let's look at the issue. Nigeria recently had talked about the issue of a shortfall in terms of oil production. And we know that when President Umar Yar'Adua did bring in the program, was one of the key reasons was to, quell the unrest in the Niger Delta region because the unrest was affecting oil production. And since then, let's look at, would you say the program has achieved its aim?
First of all, let me say thank you for the privilege to be here today and to discuss about this fundamental issue. Now, when you talk about the fall of crude oil, if you can aware that even the time when the Niger Delta Youth Restiveness was taking place in Niger Delta, I think these are the fundamental reasons why the government at that time, late President Musa Yar'Adua, come on board and look at the way out to resolve this Niger Delta Youth Restiveness. And that precipitated the reason of the proclamation of the Presidential Amnesty Implementation Committee. From Implementation Committee, the report was submitted to President Yar'Adua at that time in year 2009. That was how the amnesty program was established. And you also asked a question about whether the program have achieved its aims and objectives. Let me tell you, if you ask me, I will tell you, the program has never achieved its aim and objective.
Well, how can you say that when we know that thousands of Niger Delta youths have been sent abroad to study? There's this vocational skill acquisition program that hundreds of Niger Delta youths have also benefited from.
Yes, I agree with you. When you look at the amnesty program, there is a reason for the establishment. These reasons are reasons why the Niger Delta is combatant, because we don't call them militant, because they are not militant, they are freedom fighter, agitating for them to have their fundamental role to be acknowledged by the federal government of Nigeria. Based on that, the amnesty program, yes, I agree with you, have trained a lot of our Niger Delta as combatants in terms of formal education, skill acquisition. But the aspect of it is that the aims and objective has never been achieved. Why do I say so? The past special advisors to interim administrators that are brought into the office, the essence of the program is that 30,000 youth unanimously submit arms were captured in the Presidential Amnesty Program. And the aspect of this amnesty program, there is an undertaking between the ex-combatant and the federal government of Nigeria that these 30,000 persons will be trained and empowered. The question we can ask now is that how many of these 30,000 persons have been trained, how many have been empowered, and how many have gained successfully graduated from their formal education. Not only that, there is part of development. You know, amnesty program was not just a program. It came as a mechanism to reduce militancy in the Niger Delta and youth restiveness. In the aspect of that, Yar'Adua have the mindset that the only way out for Niger Delta to achieve the needed development is for peace to reign in the region. And for peace to reign is to beg those ex-combatants to come out from their various hiding places and summon their weapons so that the development aspect can take place. But I can tell you now, the aspect of human capacity building, yes, many of them have been trained in different areas of specialization. Some were trained in scaffolder, crane operator, some were trained in oil and gas. The question we can ask ourselves today is that these people that have been trained by the amnesty program, there is an understanding between the federal government and the ESCOBA that after training them, they will inculcate them, give them job in the IOC, which is the International Oil Company that is operating in the Delta. As I'm talking to you, that the question we can ask, out of the total number of people being trained by the amnesty office, how many of them have been gainfully employed by the IOC? Because let me tell you also.
Well, apart from employing them in the IOCs, wasn't it also that they have skills to have, like for those I know of the welders, isn't it meant for them to be able to build overhead tanks without being employed, but for them to be able to manufacture things and sell and also develop the Niger Delta community? Was it meant that all of them must be employed by the IOCs? Is that possible?
I don't know. I didn't say so. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't mean that everybody that has been trained by the amnesty office will be employed by the federal government.
By the IOCs?
Even the IOC. The question there is that during the agitation, there is something that is always at the table of discussion. That our people were agitating because the IOC has not employed them. Our environment has been bastardized, destroyed by pollutions.
But the IOC said most of the people did not have qualifications for
that. Is the reason. That's what I'm saying. Because IOC said these very youth in Niger Delta do not have the qualification to be employed. They are not skilled to be employed. And that's today the question we can ask now. The one that has been trained through the Presidential Amnesty Program, how many of them the IOC has been employed? Which is me, they were just using this words to deceive our people. Otherwise, the people that have been trained in oil and gas, their feed is oil and gas. What stopped the IOC, the International Oil Company operating in Niger Delta, not to employ these people that have been trained by the Presidential Amnesty Program? And then the other aspect of those who went for weather and whatever. When you train somebody, you are still going to empower the people. The empowerment aspect is that we are also talking about. The empowerment aspect, we are not tolerating done well for the aspiration of the people. And that will tell you that if you look at the amnesty program today, a lot of money has been invested into this program. Until today, our people are still complaining. The reason why they are complaining, that's why some of us were agitating and also accusing the federal government that the people they are bringing in to man the amnesty office were not the people that we expected to occupy, because those people did not have the program at heart.
All right. Let's go for a very quick break. In case you're just joining us, you're watching the Desk on Global Television. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, the discussion continues. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching The Desk on Global Television, and we're looking at national issues making the rounds. We're beginning from the shortfall in oil production and the impact of the amnesty program, especially with the new leadership on board. What the challenges ahead of the new leadership? Well, we'll also be at a point we'll also cast our light to the recent hiking prices and also the fuel scarcity across the country. And also we'll be looking at issues that played out in Kenya and all that topical issues in the judiciary. My guest is still Adams Mabo, who is the president of the NDPYLF, joining us in the studio. All right, you were talking about the fact that a lot of the Niger Delta youths have not been employed by the IOCs, the international companies. Let's now move away from that. Let's look at, can we blame the subsequent leadership of the amnesty, presidential amnesty program for failing? Because at a point, if those IOCs were not employing the Niger Delta youths that have been trained, is it not the task of the amnesty leadership to draw the attention of the IOCs to say this is not part of what we agreed?
I think your question you asked is very good. I think on the part of the amnesty past leaderships, we can also put blame in some areas, and we also commend them in some areas, because somebody cannot be totally bad. But we are not too satisfied with some of their policies, because the policies did not go down well with the beneficiaries and the people of the Niger Delta. Like what I was trying to say is that the federal government only appoints people to match the office. And these people, they came in because of politics and here and there and interest here and there. They don't even mind to look at the reason why, the mandate why this program was created. Some of us were at the forefront to say that federal government should not appoint military men for us again, because the military men, we are not doing what we expected them to do. That the program are people who are part and parcel of the program. That's why today, we as beneficiaries of this presidential amnesty program and leaders of various ethnic groups and the people of Niger Delta, you can see excitement when President Ahmed Bola Tinubu giving the office of the presidential amnesty program to High Chief Dr. Dennis Brochu Utuaro, PhD. When you hear the name Dr. Dennis Brochu Utuaro, PhD, is a household name to the whole Niger Delta people. And I believe that this is a man who are also part of the struggle. And I believe on his own administration, we are all looking at him and also trying to bring out our areas of initiative to make sure that he is the part of the struggle, that he don't need more explanation, because he is a grassroots leader that also understands why the reason the amnesty office was created. And we believe so much that Dr. Dennis Brochu Utuaro is going to accept.
Are you saying Major General Barry Indiomo, retired, who was the person charged before Dr. Dennis came on board, did not get the job done?
I disagree with most of his policies. Most of his policies, I disagree.
Why?
Because it was
but the policies are not his policies, but he was acting on the program of what the program was all about. Wasn't that what he was implementing?
Look, let me tell you, the program is a federal government program. And as the program is federal government, there are mandates given by the federal government in the amnesty office. So anybody that come into that office, what you need to do.
So what did he do that wasn't good?
His mindset of coming to amnesty office at that time was to end the program. And to the extent that the past administration under President Muhammadu Buhari and the National Security Advisor give them 6 months to wind down the program without looking at the implication of what is involved. And the people of Nigeria said, no, how will you wind down a program that is captured by 30,000 persons? Have you trained all the 30,000 persons? Have you empowered all 30,000 persons? For instance, now, if you put somebody, deploy somebody to school, which is mean that beneficiary will spend, if it's going to be BSc degree in policy international or public administration, you're going to spend four years in your school. If the person is going for doctorate degree, like maybe for nursing and other programs like law programs, you're going to spend more than that, because after your law program in school, you still go to law school before you call to bar. So all of those things need to be considered before thinking about winding down the program. Some of us disagree that you can't wind down the program. Tell the federal government that you can't wind this program down, because this program is a program that brought the peace and the existing peace in the Delta.
Would you say that was what made the Niger Delta youth and militants decide to start disrupting the oil production of the country and affected Nigeria's ability to meet up with OPEC standard and the quantity of oil production?
Let me tell you, since the creation of the amnesty program from 2009 to date, you see the production is increased. And you can see the work of the Tantita security, how you can see the production is also increased.
At a point, we had the Nigerian Navy accuse Tantita of colliding with some non-state actors to siphon Nigeria's oil and crude oil. And
do you believe that?
But we're talking about the Nigerian Navy.
Let me tell you, because those people. No. Those people try to blackmail the Tantita security force.
Why?
Because they have seen the exceptional work being done by civilians. You understand? Majority of those people who are in charge of that Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited are civilians.
But Tantita was accusing the Nigerian Navy of also being part of those siphoning Nigerian crude oil. Can we say that there was an interest between these two parties that made, because before two people start fighting over, there should be a problem there?
Yeah, but let me tell you, some of the Nigerian Navy felt that this work is supposed to be done by them. Why is it a separate security actors of doing such work? So it's like what they're supposed to benefit is going to the other side. You understand? But let me tell you, even at that, there are still good Nigerian navies who have doing excellent work, because even the work of the Tantita security was not only done by them. There are Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Army, and the Civil Defense and the Joint Task Force also part. We are not totally saying that the Army or the Navies are not doing something. They are also doing, because there is a joint task force between the Nigeria militaries and the Tantita security. But you can see how the work is going. There are some places that Army cannot go. Let me say to you, as far as the Niger Delta terrain is concerned, there are some places Nigeria Army cannot go to, because they do not really understand the terrain. But when you are involved the indices of the terrain, they can enter and tell you, go to so place, go to so place. They will give you the information, the local intelligence. They can give you the information very well. So that's why you can see that the work is going very well, that you can see the result now. There is productive and effective result. Right now, talking about the oil production. The production is increased. And that is the reason why, if you look at the amnesty program, the excess of this production increment in the Nigeria Petroleum NNPC, they are talking about today, is the F of the Presidential Amnesty Program. Today, a lot of people are also gained employment through this Tantita security. For do you know the good side of this Tantita security? Because a lot of people have also been created, be employed. They are receiving their salary at the end of the month, which is made the Tantita security for also create job opportunity for our unemployed youth in the Niger Delta. So that will tell you that in every aspect of life, let there be division of labor. These men are civilians. You know, when you talk of Nigeria military, a civilian man cannot be part of Nigeria military. But because of the Tantita security force is the one that is in charge of that security matter, you can see civilians also benefiting, Nigeria Army also benefiting, Navy also benefiting. So
there's also the issue of the too many groups in the Niger Delta who have too many interests. Just recently, when the president appointed Dr. Dennis Aburutu Otuaro as the new amnesty chieftain, we had lots of other groups come out to say he wasn't the right person for the job, lots of different accusations. Do you think the issue of Niger Delta having too many groups, like you have your own Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, there are other groups, men and co. Do you think there are too many groups in the Niger Delta? That's why it's hard for the Presidential Amnesty Program and even the international oil companies to be able to bring development to the people. And even the NEDC, it's also finding it difficult because there are too many leaders and too many groups.
Let me tell you, there's nothing too many groups and too many leaders. Whether you like it or not, it is the responsibility of the government to identify the genuine groups. When I say genuine groups, like in my own groups we are talking about, and my own group is not illegal. If you go to the whole Niger Delta, we have our state executives from all the 9 states. And all of the state executives are contributing for the peace and development of the Niger Delta and Nigeria by large. If you go to Edo State, the chapter is there. If you go to Ondo State, the chapters are there. If you go to Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, Bayelsa Delta, the chapters, executives are there. Let me tell you, when you see many groups, yes, I agree with you on some extent. There are some fraudulent groups that can go to UTC, whatever place, and print out a letterhead paper and call it whatever name and begin to write letter to offices. It is the responsibility of those offices to verify and identify those groups. Anybody cannot just come and write something to Global TV. Say, I'm a group, I want to come and do this. Global TV have the responsibility to vet whether that group is responsible or whether that group can be identified to work with. So if government begin to say because the group are too many, then we cannot be, then they are looking for excuses. There is no excuses for failure. If responsibility is given to you as an organization, your responsibility is to make sure that you identify the people you are working with. Look at NDDC. NDDC we are talking about today. Some of us agitated during the time of President Muhammadu Buhari that they refused to constitute the board. To the extent of interim administrator and sole administrator was operating. And we disagree. That no, this institution was established for a purpose and let the board, constitutionally recognized, be constituted. You are aware that at the TV station, a lot of people went to Villa to draw the attention of Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari at that time. Graciously, he listened to us and he said, okay, to the extent that the writing report from Nigeria DSS people and we begin to tell them the implication of delaying not to constitute the board. Then President Muhammadu Buhari at that time graciously agreed and nominate was constituted and list was sent to National Assembly. To the extent that National Assembly want to play some foul play, we went to National Assembly and blocked the gate to National Assembly. That you can't do that. You have to inaugurate the people. Confirm them. At the end, National Assembly also confirmed that this is where Obuku-led administration come in. Until when the administration of this new administration under President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the other one was banned. But today they're still going to, they're now constituted a new board again. So that will tell you that.
Okay, let's look at the people of the Niger Delta. Recently, we had the very sad scenario where 17 of Nigerian military officers were killed. How would you charge the people of Niger Delta in terms of how they've impacted the oil production of the country and also the negative part of what's happening in Niger Delta? How would you see what played in Okwama community, and how do you think the amnesty program, because one of the mandates of the amnesty program is to ensure there's peace, communal peace amongst communities. How come that issue played out? Some have accused the military to say they didn't come for peace mission, but because they were having some oil deals in that community, around that's what led to that, what played out in Okwama.
In that Okwama scenario that occurred, from the beginning we condemn those who carry out that unacceptable act against the Nigeria Army. You know, my brother, it is not easy for 17 Nigeria Army to be killed in such a way. On other aspect, after condemning it, we also question the Nigeria Army for the act of said you are going for a peace mission and you leave your gunboat. You are aware that Nigeria Army don't move with speedboat. A lot of them have their gunboat. They move along with their gunboat. The question is that a ZOC, I mean the commanding officer, going a place with captains and other army without carrying their gunboat. What happened? And you know you are going there for a peace. In the aspect of making peace, anything can happen. Because the people you are going to make peace with, you don't know their mind. So you also prepare yourself to go for peace talk. If there's war, you war. If there's for peace, you make peace. So that aspect of failing to carry their gunboat and their ammunition and their weapons to go to Okwama, that was the reason why they take advantage of them and kill them in such a way. You and I know that Nigeria Army is not just people, it's not policemen that you can just go and kill. But because they did not prepare themselves well. So on that aspect, even the Nigerian Army can be blamed for lack of preparedness before going for that peace talk. Not only that, the community in that Okwama, that they went there to make peace, They are also discussing and saying different things. And that was what led to the breakdown of everything, the ravaging of that community to including Ogbomoto community in Bayelsa and whatever. So what I can say is that we condemn that aspect of killing Nigeria Army. And we also say that Niger Delta youth who are still carrying arms should stop to misbehave in a creek of Niger Delta. Because Nigeria Army went there for peace, but along of that peace, that is where we question them. Why will you go and make peace without preparing yourself? Because when you truly want to say they go there for peace talk, we have what is called JTF. The question why is just only army that went for that peace talk? Because it's a civil matter. Police were not involved. Civil defense were not involved. Navy were not involved. It was called JTF, Joint Task Force. These very people were not involved. It's only army that they found there. So we condemn the killing. But in the aspect of order, the Nigerian army need to understand that in terms of making peace, the community must be involved, the traditional leader must be involved, and every religious leader who are involved in that territory must involve in peace talk.
All right, let's look at the currently now, before we move to other talking points, let's look at the new leadership of the Presidential Amnesty Program. How big is the task before Dr. Dennis Otuaru?
As far as the present administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Chief Dr. Dennis Otuaru, PhD, is concerned, I don't see that the tax is too heavy for him because he knows the onions. He is part of the struggle and he has looking at the stage of reintegration. Because the amnesty program itself was based on 3 areas: disarmament process, demobilization process, and reintegration process. Now, the demobilization and the disarmament process has been ended. The part that remains is the reintegration.
Are you sure it's completely ended? Because if it was completely ended, why would we have that Okwama killings?
And let me tell you, it was successfully ended does not mean those who carry arm are different people. If you look at the amnesty program, the program based on the Yaradua at that time, window was open for every person who were in armed deal in Niger Delta to submit their weapons so the federal government can pardon them and give them some areas of incentives. And today, the question you can ask, if to say the 30,000 persons who have been captured in this program that carry arms, that's why you can criticize the program. So the people who went to do things, they are still investigating. They don't know who went to go and do the thing. It is left for the Nigerian security to investigate. But in the aspect of the program is concerned, 30,000 persons. The program, Presidential Amnesty Program, is made for just 30,000 youth in the Niger Delta region. What we can talk about today is that the federal government need to look at the other areas, not just for only those who carry arms being acknowledged. What of those that did not carry arms? This is where the Ministry of Niger Delta Development come in. Those who did not carry arms in their various community, the Ministry of Niger Delta Development Commission and the Ministry of Niger Delta Development needs to collaborate and also to identify those who did not carry arms that still need human capacity building. If the amnesty office can be taking care of 30,000 youth from Niger Delta, then the remaining people that has not been part of the program, the other federal intervention agencies should also look at the area to inculcate those who we are not carrying. That's why you can see that the only office as it is in Niger Delta, people discuss both in print media and social media is the amnesty. Why? Because they are seeing the tangible work. You see your fellow brother who have been sent to school. In the next 4 years, he graduated, he has certificate. The next other minute, you see your brother who has been sent for vocational skill acquisition training, and he came back and have a certificate of oil and gas training as an area of specialization. So you that were not part of the program, you will focus on that, I want to be part of the program. And that is why the Honorable Minister of the Niger Delta Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo, need to look at this area as a minister, as a super minister who is in charge of the whole 9 states, to look at this area and also to collaborate with the Niger Delta Development Commission. Because if you look at it, Yaradua was so wise. may so rest in perfect peace. I have never seen a president like Yar'Adua. Compared to all the presidents that have emerged in this country, Yar'Adua is the only man that I see that he has a vision about the country. When you add a vision president, you can see that a lot of things going to work accordingly without fighting. Yar'Adua did not carry arms to fight. They didn't apply military diplomacy. He applied wisdom to bring everybody out from the creek. And the result came. Today, the production of oil is high. And Nigeria government is benefiting. Yar'Adua has gone. But today, people are still benefiting the ideas of Yar'Adua. So what I'm trying to say here today is that the amnesty program everybody in Niger Delta is talking about, the program is not made for everybody. The program was specifically designed for 30,000 persons, youth, not for everybody. But today everybody is calling about amnesty this, amnesty that. The program is specifically for 30,000 persons.
Okay, how would Dr. Dennis now be able to make out who is remaining from this? Because
yes, he can make out.
We know that 18,000 plus was from your side of the divide, from your own group. We know that other thousand, almost 12,000 from other groups. So technically, we have 20,000 persons youth already have benefited. So are we saying after this remaining 10,000 youths, the program can wind up after Dr. Otuaro's reign?
Let me be sincere to you. The program was designed in such manner that after training and empowered the 30,000 persons who were being captured in the program, then the federal government can think about winding down the program. The reason why the Niger Delta people stood up and protest against the federal government, they cannot end the program, because me and you were captured in the program. You were being trained. I am not yet to be trained. And you said you want to end program. That is injustice. So for you to agree with me and you to agree is that you train me, they train you, they train me, and the 10,000 persons has been completely trained and empowered. Then the federal government can simply say, yes, can mark their access to say, we have tried for the Niger Delta people. At least 30,000 persons were captured in the program, and we have successfully trained them and empowered them. Then if you want to say you want to end the program, nobody will protest. Nobody will fight you. Then they will not look at the aspect of development. That's why I said the aims and objective of establishing the amnesty program has never achieved. The reason of bringing everybody out of the creek is for the development of Niger Delta. The question today, go to the creek. Are they really have that development? The aspect of the development is missing. That is why we are also urging the Niger Delta Development Commission to start to their responsibility and obligation to make sure that the Niger Delta region should have the expected development. Because the reason why the Niger Delta Development Commission was established is for the purpose to create development in the Niger Delta. Are you aware that even in the Niger Delta, there are issues? The issue that in Niger Delta is that the riverine communities, that where the oil exploitation and exploration is happening, there is no link road. The women are still pulling their canoe.
Well, shouldn't we blame the state governors, the NDDC, because there are lots of money, even for this amnesty program. It's been said that at least $64 million have already been expended by the federal government. What is the role of state governors, the NDDC, if they cannot give, because the program cannot give everything to the Niger Delta people?
Thank you. That's why I said the aspect of the presidential amnesty program, that money that are assigned for the program was not for development in Niger Delta. It's for the purpose of training those boys, empower them in terms of formal education and skill acquisition. Now, talking about the state government, the governors, they also have their responsibility as a state governor, because some of those areas that need development, the state government also have their own areas of allocation, federal allocation. They have the 30% derivation.
Yes.
Then they still have the normal derivation that is coming outside of the state. The question is, if Kanu, that does not produce oil, that have 44 local government area, can develop their areas, and what happened to our Niger Delta states not to develop their area? So which means that the lack of development in Niger Delta is also contributed by the people of Niger Delta. Because people that has been elected into their various offices as a governor are not serious about development. Otherwise, why will you have 13% derivation And then you also have other allocation that you cannot use it to develop to your own state.
Okay, let's wrap up now. We've got 10 minutes to go. What's the guarantee that after the tenure of Dr. Dennis Burutu, we're not still going to come back to this same story about the program not achieving its aim and all that? Are there key areas that Dr. Dennis Burutu should focus on in order to achieve the final remaining, aims of this program?
I think the key area is very simple. Dr. Burutu Otuaro, like what I said, is a grassroots person. He is looking at the overview of the program where he can able to amend area that the predecessor did not did well. Is now his own time to look at those areas where this person failed and to identify that problem and resolve it. And I believe, and he is also doing that, and he is looking at how many persons have been trained.
He's from Delta.
He's from Delta State.
Is this the first time we're having someone from Delta State?
Yes, this is the first time since the section of the amnesty creation. We amnesty office has produced 2 persons as coordinator and administrator, interim administrator from Rivers State, which is late Professor Charles Dokubo and Colonel Dikio from Rivers State. Then in Bayelsa, produced 3 persons, which is Timi Alaibi, and then Brigadier General Paul Boro, and the present Idiomo that left office from Bayelsa. Then the other person who came to occupy the office during the process of the whole thing, Godwin Abbey. Godwin Abbey was from former Minister for Defense from Edo State. From Godwin Abbey to Timi Alaibi, from Timi Alaibi to General Boro, from General Boro to Professor Charles Dokubo, from Charles Dokubo to Colonel DQ, from Colonel DQ down to Idiomu. And you also Kingsley Kuku. Timi Alaibi hand over to Kingsley Kuku. Kingsley Kuku come from Ondo State. Ondo State had 1 person, which is Honorable Kingsley Kuku. Then from Kingsley Kuku, General Boro. From General Boro, then Professor Charles Dokubo. From Professor Charles Dokubo to Colonel DQ. From Colonel DQ to Major General Barry Tariye Idiomu. Now, Dr. Dennis Burutu Otuaro. Otuaro is the only first person coming from the angle of Delta State. And you can guess, some of us believe that among all of those people I've mentioned here, it is only Kingsley Kuku who were part of the struggle. Because Kingsley Kuku was part of the struggle, he did extremely well. The rest other people came with their military mentality, so everything about them is about military aspect of operation. So they didn't care to know what is the essence of this program all about. And that was the reason why when we look at the aspect of General Boro from the time of Professor Charles Dokubo who came in, and then the other people from military angle that came in, we said no, let the program will be given back to the civilians. And not only just civilians, the owners who also part and parcel of the struggle. Today, Dr. Dennis Burutu Otuaro is part of this struggle. And I believe because he's part of this struggle, you will not going to joke with any kobo in that office. You will make sure that these people who are beneficiary of this program will benefit directly, not to use the office for political gain.
All right, let's wrap our discourse. In terms of recently we are seeing fear queues across Nigeria again. Are you worried with this continuous scarcity of fear and fear queue across the country? Who do we blame now? The government, the marketers?
Let me tell you, when you look at this fear queue, let me see, the Minister for Petroleum is Mr. President, Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Then the Minister for Petroleum for State is Honorable Enkin Lokobri, Senator Lokobri. Now, what we are looking at is the marketers are also a problem. The marketers, because it's a business deal, they are also a problem. No, we are talking about fuel subsidy removal. Now the subsidies has been removed. Now look at the way prices are going. Today, anybody can decide to increase the price of their product because it is their own. The first time they were saying that federal government were paying on behalf of Nigerians. That is why the fuel price was so reduced. But now they said they have removed it. So because they have removed it, you can see that the fuel price is skyrocketing every day. Today, go to black market, a liter is 1,000. I was told that in Kano, one state like that in northern part, it's 1,500. You can see, you see the disparity of selling petrol price. And if you go to from filling station, some are selling 600 or something.
What do you think?
Some are selling 700 or something. That to tell you that the federal government need to look at price control. Because if all of us are selling petroleum is a one product and the same product, then why will you sell the same product with different price? So this is where the question comes from.
They will tell you they bought it from different places.
And if they bought it from different places, it is not left for the federal government to look at it. Because let me tell you, finally, let me tell you, if they cannot carefully look at this aspect of fuel price being inflating, many workers will refuse to come work. Because if you are receiving, for instance, you are receiving 60,000 as a salary, then you are buying fuel for a week. That's so that all your movement and that within that period to work is used for fuel.
All right, that's how much we can take on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I want to say thank you to my guest, who is the National President of the Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, in the person of Adams Ogomogu Mabo, who has joined me in the studio as we looked at the issue of oil production shortfall and the impact of the amnesty program on this, and also we looked at the recent hike in fuel prices and also the scarcity and the implication of these products. That's how much time is going to allow us on today's edition. I want to say thank you for joining us on the program, The Desk. My name is Anthony Momodu saying let's do this again tomorrow. Good evening.